door to the Guild Academy. We have a super secret code entrance right here. Okay, we're inside the guild hall now, and you see our door to the right that we just entered through with our secret entrance. Then, as we move across the left of the screen, you will see the brown cabinet, which holds our cutlery, pots and pans, that kind of thing, to help us cook here, so we don't always have to go to restaurants. Plus, it's a lot of fun to cook for the rest of the scholars, especially on sparring nights. Moving across, you see our coffee mugs there, peeking out right next to the microwave. You see a random stir-fry pan there as well, and our cutlass, which is above. They were just, all those swords were just floating around for the moment. And then as we move across, you're going to see our refrigerator. We actually need a larger refrigerator because we have so many people here now. On top of the refrigerator, we have a hot plate with a pot. We have a propane cooker, but would rather not use it, so we need a larger one as well. We have an ice chest there too for current tournaments, and when we go outside and do special events like festivals. Directly across from the kitchen eating area is the scholars table, and this is where people will sit and they usually will read, and this is also a great place for our arbiters to do judging from, so they don't have to stand in the middle of the room while everybody is sparring. It makes a lot more sense for them to take time, write down scores, and demarcate who's the next fighter, and to make calls from here. It's also useful for those who want to read and who are doing tests and exams, that kind of thing. Also, we have our gamazons back there, and it's just a pile at the moment due to the fact they need to be hung up and suspended elsewhere, which you will see in a bit. To your left, on the left side of the screen there, you will see one of the banners of the Guild Academy, and that needs to be re-hung up. It's currently just hiding our coat rack. Here, now that we've turned more to our right, it's directly in front of the door as you enter the Guild Academy, and this is our seating area. This is where we will tend to review the Lichtenauer and any of the scholar documents that we're utilizing, Fiore, Lichtenauer, all the manuals, treatises, documents, right there. Because it makes a lot more sense to be able to sit than to stand during class. Plus, it's nice to catch a little bit of a break, especially after the first hour or two of lessons. Also, you'll see my desk there to the left, and that's where we do most of our editing and video recording, and you will also see a giant brown box on the left side of the screen. That box is also for our personal gear, and there's a rapier to our right as we switch across the way there. The rapier on the right is actually broken. Thank you, Rustin and Connor. Thankfully, the other sword that damaged that sword and made it unusable is also damaged, so, ha, I got you guys there. You'll see the second banner there that's hanging right in the middle of the screen. You saw one right before this, and those are banners that my grandma made as well. We have 4 of those here in the guild, and those tend to travel with us also. You also started seeing the sneaking suspicion of a gear rack over there with a bunch of stuff hanging on, so let's go check that out. Before we get to the gear rack, I wanted to show you the other place where most of the lessons take place. This is where all the scholars are and the free scholars are as when they're in their lessons. This is also where we do our sparring, and most of our tournaments are held in here in that space, so you can understand why it wouldn't make a lot of sense to have a bunch of people hanging out over there. It's a fairly wide area, 23 feet wide and 40 feet long. It doesn't make sense to have the arbiters there, the ones that are keeping score and timing and that kind of thing, in the middle of the space, because you also have refs that have to be over there, as well as a ring boss with the staff to break everybody apart. You actually see that the staff that we use hanging out there on the right side of the screen. You also will see our PEL directly in the center. It's broken down at the moment, and those 2 boards are the 2 boards that hold it together when they're being used. On the very left side of the screen, you'll also see the beginnings of our gym that we're still sort of piecing together. Normally there's a camera stand over there, but currently I'm using it. Above that area, you will also see places where we keep our batons for the tournaments or judging matches, as well as our timekeepers and our scorekeepers, as well as a first aid station. That yellow rope is used to delineate a circle of combat whenever you're doing stuff outside. Sometimes we have that because on occasion our sparring matches can sometimes get up to 20-30 people, and doing 20-30 people through this space is almost impossible, and it would take days and days. So we have sometimes to go outdoors, and you also see the last 2 banners that my grandma made as well. Thanks again for that. Now let's go check out the gear rack. This is our gear area, and that gear rack to our right, we'll start from over there, that just was recently built and finished because it used to just be a table with piles of gear, and that doesn't work so great. It's much better to have a suspended system where all the gear is easily accessible and takes up far less floor space. We have about 1,200 square feet or so, and managing that space is one of the key features of this space. Also, to our left, you will see in the center of the screen our sword rack. That is our second sword rack. The first one also broke because it was made out of 1x6s, not 2x4s, and it broke during a match, which was actually fairly exciting. To the far left of the screen, you will see the helmet area, and we have a lot more gear than this. Some of our scholars bring in their equipment, as well as the free scholars bring in their equipment, so this is the majority of our equipment, but not necessarily all of our equipment. Right above the helmets on the left-hand side, if you just look above that, this is where we're planning to suspend the gambazon, so that they are quick, easy to access, and all the gear is in one easy-to-access area, and also stuff that is unlikely to break during any sort of combat. And this is where we want to develop another sword rack as well and put it across the room on the wall with the Meyer Square, which I'm going to show you right now. And just like I told you, that curtain is actually hiding our Meyer Square, and that is used by scholars and free scholars alike and any of the ranked members to help train in a variety of different things. You'll see one of the banners and seeing our equipment there for weightlifting, as well as that first aid equipment that I was talking about, as well as some of our tournament equipment. Alright, thanks for visiting the Guild Academy. It gives you a little bit of a tour and an idea of our current space that we're utilizing and some of the things that we're going to be altering over time. And I have to go run some errands and pick up some of this new stuff. So, see you next Monday.